Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now we are joined by Neil, Refracted Curvature, 10th Man, Eli, Brian's Logic, and a whole bunch of people in Gilded, so welcome one and all.
Good morning.
Oh,
Hello, hello. How's it going out there?
It's going well. It's going well. Batteries run out on my remote control to turn the studio lights off, but other than that, things are going well. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
Well, according to my son, it's not formally known as the curve of the Earth. It is the curve of the Earth.
Hello, guys.
We've only got one horizon, and the horizon in there begging the question, proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator is Earth curve. It's marked with the next labelled horizon. We've only got one. It's not Earth curve.
How come I've never seen it?
Horizon.
How come I've never seen this Earth curve from an airplane at 40,000 feet to on my boat? How come I've never seen it?
Well, you were claimed to be seeing it when you looked at the horizon, but we've debunked the horizon being Earth curve. The horizon is not the leading edge of a hill getting in the way of things in the distance as they calculate it geometrically in the Earth curve maths. That's not the horizon. We've only got one, and it's not a physical limitation to your view. When they bark refraction, they're affirming how non-physical their horizon is. Or in this case, isn't. It's not a hill getting in the way. That's what Earth curve is. That's not what the horizon is.
Well, when I was on my boat and I looked out on a clear day going to Catalina, I saw the horizon. It was horizontal.
I mean, the horizon's all sorts of things. It's just not Earth curve.
Well, what I'm trying to say is it wasn't any curve to it. So if that's Earth curve, looking forward, it should be dipping down because I'm going over a hill, as you say. But side to side, I didn't see it either.
Well,
dear.
That's not how it's qualified. So, I mean, when they describe it with a magic trick performed by Neil deGrasse Tyson as not being capable of being viewed contextually as a left to right curvature from altitude because you're not high enough above it, he's not describing that misapprehension that you may have as a normie about what Earth curve actually is. The qualification for Earth curve, the claim to be I can prove that the horizon is Earth curve, is a mathematical derivation of an R value that gives you a geometric limitation marked with an X labelled horizon in their Earth curve maths. That's what Earth curve is. We've debunked it. Any evidence of the R value? Earth radius?
No, we're not done. We're not done.
Oh, it's still on Earth curve.
Yeah, when they hoisted this magic trick on people, they were using the mast of the old ships and the bottom disappearing, which is just a function of perspective. But that's how they tricked us in the past. So in the past, they're saying, see, that's Earth curve blocking the bottom of that ship or that building. When artists know it's perspective.
Shout out to everyone in chat. Please share the show. Enthusiasm level's going to hopefully go up a few percent.
And Horizon,
Deck or whoever that is.
Yeah, I was just saying, like after Tim said that, yeah, horizon is not ever defined as curve. If you look at the definition, it's just the apparent line where the sea and the Earth, sea and the sky seem to meet. So that isn't saying anything about Earth curve. So whoever made that up is talking broken biscuits.
Oh, they claim boats go over that, and that's how you can prove Earth is a sphere.
Yeah, on screen right now. It's on screen. There it is in the maths. It says horizon on it.
I often wished over the past few years that I had, well, over a good few years, that I had the ability to make like a computer rendering, like a 3D model, moving model of what a boat would look like if it was going over a curve. It won't disappear from the bottom up in a linear fashion. It won't do that. What a boat will do is that the bow, which is the front of the boat, will dip down, and the hull, which is the back of the boat, will start to point up from your perspective. So, because the last thing you're going to see if it's a sailboat, the last thing you're going to see is not the top of the sail. The last thing you're going to see is the back of the boat, the hull, right? The back of the boat, and the tip of the top of the sail. It depends on the height of the sail. That's the last thing you're going to see. You're not going to see something disappearing in a linear fashion from the bottom up. That's purely due to either inferior mirage or the Rayleigh criterion.
No, I never got that, Brian. I never got that, how to explain that. I always saw it how you just explained it, if it was going over a hill. I never understood how they would say it would disappear the way they show you, like in Neil Bill Nye, the Science Guy.
That's because it's... shout out to Godzilla. He says, free super chat feels dirty. Because he's a member, he gets a free super chat each month. And then he gives me another super chat and goes, that feels better. Very good.
So in the math, when they're talking about the horizon marked with an X being blocked by Earth's curvature, the thing about that is that's not proof. Like they give us that as, oh, it's evidence, we know it's that. Well, first of all, if you look at like one of the very first links into this, it says, say hypothetically if the Earth was a sphere with a radius. So they're proposing that if it was this size, then this would be the geometric limitation. So a reasonable person would go, okay, well, great. I have something to do now. I'm going to go affirm that this is true. That's all we've done. We've affirmed that it's not true. So the hypothetical is debunked or whatever.
Yeah, well said. That's the black swan, right?
Yeah. Any evidence of the R value, Earth radius?
Angles to the sun using a vertical.
What is the sun?
An angle.
Hold on. Angles to the sun using a vertical. That would reference the horizontal, though, Arwen.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, the two are intrinsically linked. Yes,
You
they
could
are
do
most
it from
definitely
in a well.
linked at the hip.
You could do it from inside a well. No, you don't.
You have a vertical.
No, you can't.
freeze
Yeah,
solid.
One at a time, Ed.
Actually,
Yeah,
John, hold on.
vertical.
John first.
Wait
Go
a
ahead,
second,
John.
I wanna
Hold
know
on, Neil.
what
Hold on,
Brian
Brian.
Howard
Hold
said.
on. John first. Go ahead.
Arwen, can you have a vertical in free space?
What's free space?
Well, since you're asserting that the vertical has nothing to do with the ground, right? So, say floating in space. What is
Did
vertical?
I say that? Did I say it had nothing to do with the ground?
He's asking.
Yes,
He's
you did.
asking. Just ask once more. Listen closely, Arwen.
Can you have a vertical in free space?
I think so. Yeah.
No.
What do you mean, no?
You've got no horizontal to reference it to.
You don't need to have reference a horizontal.
So how do you
can
know
just
it's vertical?
use
How do
a
you know
plumb
it's?
bob.
How do you know
can just
it's
use a plumb bob.
in free space? You didn't listen.
Yeah.
You didn't listen.
Free space. You're talking
there's no
Euclidean, right?
outlet.
You're talking Euclidean because unless you're
There's no
mentioning
direction in
forward
the
space.
Hold on,
Up or
Brian.
down in
Hold
free
on,
space.
everyone. Arwen's in the middle of a statement. He's trying to respond to John. Go ahead, Arwen.
I don't know what this free space is about, but if you're talking Euclidean, well, then No, you don't need to reference the ground. You can
Don't
just
start
use
with
a
I don't know.
plumb bob.
Stop.
Oh, now
Stop.
you're interrupting me. First you're
Yeah,
telling
because you've
other
said I
people
don't
not to
understand what
interrupt
the
me,
main
and then you do
qualifier.
it yourself.
You started your statement with I don't understand the main qualifier he gave you that I've pulled you up on and said you didn't understand, or I assumed incorrectly you didn't listen. Okay, that's where we move from. We don't carry on with your waffle. We go from there. Okay. John, as it was him who defined he didn't define it yet, but I'm going to ask him to, use the term free space, can define it for you. Please.
Not relating to any other direction.
Well, you're talking now about things that are not very pragmatic and in the real world. I mean, my solution is a plumb bob, and I don't need anything else, mathematical or otherwise.
But a
I
plumb
just need
bob
a
needs
visual
earth.
on the sun and a plumb bob.
Will you be using
A plumb
90
bob
hours?
needs earth.
Hold on.
Well,
Brian.
a plumb bob needs earth.
Yep, you're referencing it to Earth.
Needs
Therefore, you've
earth.
got a 90.
Yeah, but if you have a vertical,
No.
you have to have a horizontal, correct?
Yes.
Now, a plumb bob technically doesn't need anything. All it needs is to just have the room to be able to hang.
Plumb
That's
with
all
what?
it needs.
Plumb
What's it
with...
referencing, Arwen?
What does plumb mean, Arwen? Plumb means something. If it's a plumb bob, what does plumb mean?
Well, I think they used it also partially to establish level, which of course involves the horizon.
Oh my God.
But you don't actually need that
Yes.
to get a
That's
90
the end.
degree angle. You only need the vertical.
Did we all hear him? We all heard him. So that's the end of this discussion.
Yeah, you need to
No,
ground.
that's called a dead-on straw man, Nathan.
No, Arwen, you just killed your own argument.
No,
You said
that's
90.
literally a dead-on straw man.
We heard
No,
the first
Arwen,
time.
That
Here's your
is a
argument.
straw man.
We heard the third
You
time
asked me a
too.
question, how do you do this? And then you draw in things that I did not use, did not say. It's called a
Oh,
straw
You
man.
just
It's
said
being
90.
recorded.
Yeah, you just said 90.
I know I'm being recorded. And yeah, 90. Yeah, 90, that's right. With the vertical, though.
90
You
to
can't-
what? To the horizontal? Yeah, you're going to need horizontal. That's where we started. That's where we will end. The two are intrinsically linked at the hip. You can't get away
No,
from
but you
it.
don't
And-
necessarily need
Ugh,
to
don't rinse
establish a
and
90
repeat.
degree in the first instance.
Arwen, please don't rinse and repeat this. Last time you stormed off in fury that you were right
Yeah,
about
and
this.
I'm going to do that again
you
because
weren't.
I hate it when you're just dead on wrong. And because you think you're on the winning side of Flat Earth, which you are, that means that you can just pull out this shit and be wrong.
You are
You're
wrong.
Me?
You're wrong.
What I
Arwen.
said was
Four
100%
people
technically
telling you how
correct,
wrong you
and
are.
None of you
Four.
can handle
It's not
it.
me. Four
You're
people
getting
telling you.
spoiled
Four.
by your own winning positions.
Please don't verbal
You're
diarrhea
wrong.
the show. Please. Right.
You'll laugh it up. I'm deadly serious here.
No, you're not.
Perpendicular, Arwen. Perpendicular.
Yeah, that's not something that is involved in anything that I gave as an answer in response to the question.
Use
So
the word
all
plum.
straw man.
You
It's
used the word
all
plum.
straw
Yes, you
man.
did. You used the
Always.
word plum.
And you said you need the ground.
Stop bobbing about.
No, I didn't say I need the ground. That's you
Not in
literally
those
putting words in
words.
my mouth. I never said I needed the ground. I never mentioned the word ground
Okay.
in my
Okay, thank you.
answer.
Yes, that's why you were specifically asked by John about what it would reference in free space. If you're not using the ground, then you did.
You said horizontal, Arwen.
I did not bring up horizontal. I said a vertical. You keep on adding more words
going
and then
back and listening
asking
right now.
me more things to then, as a response of me trying to answer, add more words to my original statement that I did not make.
Are you all enjoying the show in live chat? Hopefully you're all having fun. You all enjoying it in Discord? Not Discord, Gilded. You're all settling in nicely to the new scenery?
I recall Arwen saying he was in a well holding a plumb bob.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so if you're in a well, what kind of well were you in? How deep was it?
It was a bit saline. It was
I
kind of
know.
dirty, neglected.
No, let me have this go with Arwen.
Arwen killed his own argument with 90.
No, I'm getting there.
I did not use the word 90 in my
It's-
original answer.
You
That
said
was in
90.
response to another question that it
Uh,
eventually
And
turned
make
into
the
a straw man.
measurement you're talking
That's what that
about without
was.
the
You need to get
horizontal.
over that.
Okay,
You
you
can't
need
make
to,
the measurement
you're talking
comedic
about
or
without-
otherwise,
without
you
the
need to
horizontal.
actually hear each response. So please. Hello, Adam. Good to have you.
Eli,
Yeah.
can I go?
guys.
Hello.
All right.
Hey, Adam.
Yeah,
I
I'm
got
trying.
rumpused. I protest. I got rumpused.
I was trying to get in before you.
Go ahead. I give
Go
you
ahead,
permission.
Eli.
Well, I feel like it's a classic begging the question because you're saying you can get a vertical, you don't need a horizontal. Well, but then you're using the earth and you're saying, well, this is a horizontal, but you're saying it's not really in reference to anything, which is why John asked you what he asked you. You
Oh,
can't
wow.
say I have a. You can't say I have a vertical in free space where there is no other because you have a line, right? But you don't have an orientation. The only way we have an orientation is if we use a reference, like a
Yeah, like
horizontal,
the plumb bob.
where the earth.
Isn't that amazing?
Well, the plumb bob goes down toward the ground on Earth. So what are you saying?
I say that I don't
Alright.
have to look sideways in order to establish a vertical.
Sorry. Shout out to Del West Watson. He says, yes, Godzilla. Very dirty.
Arwen, when you're holding the plumb bob, let's say you're holding the plumb bob in your hand. Where your hand is holding the string, that is 90. How do you know when it's at 0? What determines 0 from that point?
What do you mean, like dead on zero vertical?
0.
In
The
reference
0. You're
to-
starting
yeah.
with 90.
Yeah, you're
hold on.
pulling out a
Arwen,
number.
Arwen.
I don't even involve numbers in my answer.
Arwen.
You're talking
Oh,
rubbish
I'm not talking
stop.
rubbish. You're again
Arwen,
drawing in
Arwen,
another
please,
type of
for the love of
explanation.
Jesus, Arwen, I don't want to have to kick you out because you can't control yourself.
Oh, we want to kick me out.
Well, if you can't control yourself, and if I have to say your name 16 times to be able to
Well,
say...
maybe you could tell the crew to stop straw manning me constantly.
Nobody's straw manning
and
you.
focus
I've...
actually on what I said.
Arwen,
I
we've
went
heard
back and
now
listened,
5
said
times
Horizon.
an unqualified claim of straw man. I've heard it. Yeah? Do you understand? Me saying your name 16 times, you saying straw man 5 times? Yeah? This isn't reasonable. Try to be reasonable.
It is.
I'm not asked... That was rhetorical. I've asked you in reference to what? Right? Got nowhere. Told Dom straw manning you. Brian's now rephrasing and repackaging precisely what I entered this annihilation of your nonsense with. He's trying it, and you're doing the same thing. You're not being responsive. You're not cooperating. You're just rumpusing. That's all you're doing. So Brian's now trying, as I did, the same exact thing. How do you know it's at 0 is the same as me saying, in reference to what? What's it plumb with? That's what Brian's trying to do. I want to let him, so that the audience understands, despite your belligerence, what the point of this is. Because the ballers...
All right, well, if you're going to talk to me like that, I'm
There's
out
an
of here.
education point at the
Bye.
end of
Have a
this,
nice
Alvin. I
day.
hadn't finished. The
He said
ballers...
Horizon. Hold on, I
Oh,
went back and
Jesus
listened.
wept.
He said Horizon.
I'll try again. The ballers use this argument to deny their requirement of a flat plane to do any of these angle acquisitions. All of them require a 90. All of them require a flat plane. And their denial of it is to state that they hold out a plumb bob. Now, there is a concise annihilation of this. Or there's a denial and rumpusing of this when the concise, detailed explanation comes from 4 different people. That's what we're getting. That's not very educational for the audience. Brian, please try again. We'll see how we get on.
Yeah, well, Arwen's after going now, but I'll do it anyway. When you hold out a plumb bob, if you're holding a string and a weight at the end of it, it's your plumb bob. Where your hand is holding the string, that's 90. What will reference, how do you reference 0? How does 90 get to 0? 0 is a horizontal. Because the plumb has to be perpendicular to horizontal. That's one defines the other. That's the whole point of it.
What plumb
So
is?
they're married at the hip. There's
Exactly.
you can't speak about one and not speak about the other.
Precisely.
You're talking about an angle.
So when they deny the requirement on the ball side for the horizontal plane they'll be acquiring all of their angles for, their little Weasley way of getting around it is, oh, well, I just take it from the vertical. All right. So you take it from a plumb line and take the angle off that, do you? How do you know it's plumb? Plumb in reference to what? Oh, the horizontal plane we dwell atop? Yeah, that's how it's done. It's the only way it can be done. Earth must be flat for any of these methods to work. That's the point. When we point that out to them, oh, I don't need the horizontal plane we dwell atop and measure. I just take it from the vertical and ignore that it references the horizontal. The two are intrinsically linked. We got there in the end.
Like a plumb bob, like a plumb bob in space. It's just hilarious whenever they try to invoke it, you know.
There's been a few NASA instances where they do, quite specifically. It's quite comical.
Then, Nathan,
morning,
the
guys.
opposite. Hey,
Hello,
Chocolate.
hello, Chocolate. Hello, go ahead,
Then,
Tent.
Nathan, the opposite. I'm hearing an echo. The opposite is true when they use the bubble sextant. They actually get the horizontal first with a spirit level. So, again, a demolition of their argument because you need a perpendicular, as Brian said.
That's true, but the bubble itself sits in the vertical plane, doesn't it? If you think about it, right? Where is it sat? Is it sat one bubble on one side and one bubble on the other side in a horizontal fashion, or is it sat on top of whatever liquid
It
it's in?
depends.
It's in the vertical.
It depends.
But my point is,
Well, hang on.
it's a tool that's utilizing something that sits in the vertical plane to derive the horizontal plane, isn't it? That's what the bubble actually is. So as much as you say, well, no, you start with the bubble and you get your horizontal. Yeah, from something that's sitting in a vertical plane, that's the bubble itself, isn't it?
Yes, but there are sextants with two bubbles, one for the vertical and one for the horizontal. So they have that kind of bubble sextant, and then they got the one with just the horizontal. So they got two kinds.
Right. But in both instances, you're still going to be referencing that bubble in one plane to get the other,
Yes.
aren't you? When you say that there's
Well,
one in
that's-
each plane, that means that that's slightly misleading, because I almost thought, has he got me there? No, he hasn't. No. What you mean is you can turn the tool sideways and use a bubble in the same exact way a bubble works always in the vertical plane to get the horizontal plane. Because the thing it sits in is in the horizontal plane, isn't it? If you think of a spirit level, like a literal builder's bubble, right? You've got a long tube and the bubble sits in it. Well, the bubble sits at the top in the vertical plane, and it's referencing two lines that will tilt through the horizontal plane around it. Yeah? So it's interesting because that is a great example of something that is absolutely necessitated by it having both simultaneously to give you the accuracy in terms of level that the bubble offers when you derive one or the other from it.
Yeah, try building a fence, which I've done, where you put the posts in first, say every 6 feet apart in concrete. Well, you use a long level, and you do the vertical and the horizontal, so that when they set, the fence looks good. So it's a perpendicular relationship, as Brian said.
Yes, and that
He
relationship
invented that, though.
is what's the word where it's I don't think symbiotic is the right word, where it's always intrinsically linked. I can't think of the word. There is a good English word for that.
I think it would be it's necessitated.
Yeah, that's
by
good
the-
enough.
Antecedent.
Yeah, it is. It's an antecedent consequent. Of course it is. It's an antecedent consequent relationship. You can't have one without the other.
It's
I don't think it
interesting that he legitimately, in his mind, he's concluding and reasoning like that of a baller in this instance. And I wonder why.
Well,
Like,
it's just throwing a
why they
tantrum
rejected-
like a baller. That's the kind of that was very reminiscent of your typical baller's behaviour when they're shown to be wrong. That was an archetypical baller behaviour.
Is Arwen okay? Is everything all right? Because this is the
It's just
second
wrong
time
about
I've
something.
joined, and
It's just wrong
it's
about
just-
something. That's it.
I'm like, oh,
Arwen's very
Nathan
prideful,
again.
right? Arwen prides himself on doing exceptionally good research and not being wrong very often. He also quite likes to sound a little bit wrong so he can correct people on our right ears. And when he is actually wrong, which he is in this instance, either that or he's just playing on the fact that maybe he is actually just that good at being Baldwin, because that was so reminiscent of your typical anti-flat earther when they're shown to be wrong. Don't let the concise question come your way. Ignore the question if it does. throw a tantrum, claim we're rumpusing and straw manning them. Everything was perfect. It was right on point. So if he came back in tomorrow and was like, that was just a really good ball win, I'd be like, yeah, I believe you.
You're being too conceited, being on the winning side. Okay?
Yeah.
The other day, Arwin was arguing the same point with me and you, Nathan. We were telling him he's wrong, and he didn't want to listen, and he left. He came back later, and he started arguing with me when I said that because objects weigh more in a vacuum, that destroys anyone claiming that gravity is a force of attraction, right? Because within their model, the air pressure and the air pressure gradient, right, is caused by gravity giving weight to a mass of air. So within their model, objects have to weigh more outside of a vacuum in air and weigh less in a vacuum, but they don't. They weigh more in a vacuum. And Arwin lost it again over that, and then he left. He left again. He hung up again, and he started leaving comments in. I didn't read them in Master B or something for me. You know, it's like this. He's been at this since last week.
Well, the problem is that Arwin and Baldwin are the same person, and it's like multiple personalities. And when he can't handle a concession, Baldwin takes over and he goes away.
Okay, maybe. Either way, you know, I went to the lace. I'm not too concerned. Anyway,
where are we in housekeeping?
We've got, what, 2 questions? Got Earth curve and R value under our belt. But that's okay. I'm just pleased everything's functioning. I should have said that. Any evidence?
I don't know.
Go on.
I was going to say, I don't know if I would call it an antecedent consequent relationship with the vertical and horizontal. It's more contingent.
Contingent. That's the word. That's correct. It's not an antecedent consequent. It's contingent on one another. That's correct. That's a good word.
Would it not still be antecedent?
Well, no, because the consequent, you can't reverse them, right? You need a container for gas pressure. You don't get gas pressure without the container, right? So you got to have horizontal to get the vertical, and you have to have vertical to get the horizontal.
Yeah, you can't have one without the other, but it's not like you can't have a container without any gas pressure. You can, you know, the two aren't reversible in an antecedent consequent relationship, but in terms of the intrinsic nature of horizontal and vertical, the two are contingent upon one another.
Okay, I was wrong. Okay.
Next.
Any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
Is it contingent?
It's not been
there is
demonstrated.
still a contingency there with gas pressure, yes.
Oh, Brian, you said they tried weighing an object in a vacuum. How'd they get a vacuum?
Well, you'd need a container for that.
So if you need a container to create a vacuum, then what is gas pressure needing to have pressurized air?
Mic check.
With the word press being involved in it, pressure as pressing, as Nathan has pointed out for years, it has to be pressing on something. What's it pressing on? If it's not pressing on a solid container, it's not pressing on anything. There is no pressing. You can't press on something that doesn't have a 3D physical tangibility.
I would say that's a
Mic check.
truly impressive
Yeah, we hear you,
answer.
Jorge. You're quite loud, actually. What did you want to add?
Well, just referring to the bubble level or the spirit level, even though the device itself is on the vertical, the bubble is on the horizontal. So it's always referring to the horizontal.
Was I wrong? Just say you're wrong, Nathan. I don't mind.
Yeah, the object itself, you can put it on the horizontal plane, and you'll have a bubble which is horizontal as well, and the bubble will have to be within the parameters. But if you have the device upright on the vertical, the bubble itself that you are looking for the measurement is on the horizontal. And again, it uses the same parameters for the bubble.
No, fair enough. I was wrong.
Your bubble bursted.
Right on.
Either way, you're talking about level.
Yeah, but
That's
both
correct.
bubbles, both vials with the bubble of air in it or whatever have to both be parallel. They're both parallel horizontals.
Yeah, that's correct.
Next.
Well, just real quick, why is it called a level?
Well,
I don't know. Why is it called a bubble?
it creates a horizontal.
It means
creates a horizontal.
it means no parts higher than the other.
Yeah, yeah. And so it's interesting when the anti-flat earthers come in saying, well, we don't need the Earth's horizon and the Mariner's sextant to do celestial navigation. We can just use a bubble, a level. Oh, okay. Well, if you were to do it the other way, where you didn't have a bubble, you would use the Earth's horizon, and the numbers would have to equal the same, the star's GP to the observer's GP. I wonder how that works if the Earth is curving in one in your mind, and the bubble you use goes out into infinity of space that's level. How could they both coincide unless the Earth matches the bubble that goes infinity at your eye line? It's called something like a depression angle refracted curvature.
But don't forget, Temp, the horizon mirror has nothing to do with horizon.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, but we're talking about the bubble, but we should be talking about the liquid, because that is basically a vial with liquid inside, and there is a gap for air. When that bubble of air is in the middle of the vial is perfectly horizontal. So it's the liquid that is establishing the level of the bubble.
That's correct.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I've heard a Glober state that if water if a water level can establish a horizontal plane, then the Earth can't be a globe. Is that problematic?
Sorry,
Because
you're
last time I checked,
what you're
that's
doing is
literally
you're
what-
saying, I've come across a baller spitting cognitive dissonance. Is that a problem? yeah, it's a problem for him.
That's a very good
It's
concession.
definitely not a problem for me.
Oh, okay. I was just checking because last time I checked, that's literally what that is. It
Wait, what
established
did he say?
A water. I'll repeat. A water level is a tool to establish a horizontal plane. And from what I heard from this person, who apparently has science in his name, he says that if that's the case, then the Earth can't be a globe.
That's a concession.
Well, yeah, you need to trim
that's
that
the
out.
whole-
You need to trim that out and title it, whoever it is, you haven't named them specifically, declares Earth is flat. Because that's correct. That's pretty much spot on. Unless you can establish it as a horizontal plane, well, you can. Therefore, Earth's not a sphere.
Oh, I could shout him out if you want. This is something I heard on Bev's channel with a discussion with a Glober who is named I Can Science That.
Ooh.
So I can science that. Have you got a verbatim quote?
Pretty much, if a water level establishes a horizontal plane, Earth can't be a globe.
Welcome to
Brilliant.
Flat Earth. I can science that.
Yep, stacks in the back, backwards to the left.
DJ's taking
Well,
requests.
I must point something out. At present, our opposition have split level into two categories because now I don't think Bev and them were aware of this, but they've actually started admitting that a bubble level creates a horizontal, right? Now, I have to speculate that that's purely down to the bubble sextant and all the references and all the citations to speak about that creating a horizontal. So, because that's using a bubble level within it, and the citations speak about the need for a horizontal and an angle needs, obviously you need a horizontal.
Okay,
Right?
yes, that's
Hang
that's true. It's just the way you've credited it. It's just dirty. No,
Well-
I mean Bev's ground those guys down and has detailed that to them specifically. It's not because of the
No,
sextant
you didn't
bubble,
leave me
but
finish what I was saying.
fine, go
You
ahead.
don't know the full story.
Credit
don't know
to
the
you,
full
Bev.
story.
Shout out to Bev.
Yeah, you brat.
Yeah. They are now stating that a bubble level creates a horizontal, but a water level is level with the center of the globe. They're two different levels. That's the point I make. So they now have two separate claims going on.
Yeah, the whole
It's
thing with
nonsensical,
bends
isn't
is
it?
bendy's
Because they're
horizontal.
both
They
the
believe
same.
horizontal bent.
Hold on one second,
And
Jorge.
in fairness,
I think John made his point. So go ahead, Jorge.
No, they're both the same. A spirit level, it's referring to liquid, the liquid that is inside of the spirit level with the bubble. And the water level is the same thing, is liquid again. It's two liquid levels. Establish the same thing. They need to be exactly the same.
and I would just like to state that, yes, Bev has wore them down and grinded them down, no doubt about that. I don't take that away from Bev, but Bev can't take away from us that we've also done that. 10th Man has grinded them down with every citation to do with the bubble sextant. So they wouldn't be going on to Bev's admitting that a bubble level establishes a horizontal if it wasn't for the bubble sextant. They wouldn't be doing that. They weren't doing that before the bubble sextant, and that's due to 10th Man. So yes, I'd never take acting away from Bev, but you can't take acting away from 10th Man or us, what we do here either.
That's
It's
right.
just not Bev grinding them down, because he's been
Absolutely.
pointing out how our levels work in terms of Euclidean geometry and building shit. Excuse my
Hold
wrong
on.
language.
You're missing it though, because they would say bendy's horizontal to Bev, saying that horizontal bends at the rate of Earth curve.
Okay. I take it back, Brian. I apologise sincerely. That's correct. Bendizontal was their carte blanche bagurk to Bev. Well, how'd you get an elevation angle from a curved bendizontal? Oh, you don't. No, I think you're right, Brian. I take it back wholeheartedly. Sorry, Bev. Shouting you out and Julie, unfortunately. The reason you've got people conceding is because of 10th.
Just a small concession from 10th. I'm only quoting what celestial navigation says. So it's not 10th. I'm just the messenger.
Can't do anything with an angle
Oh,
except
why are you being
beat.
so humble? Take credit.
Yeah, no.
No, I'm
credit
trying-
where credit's due. And, you know, you can't do anything with an angle, was what Bev said to me when I put this to him. Well, you can. You can overcome bendizontal as a rebuttal.
It's not that I'm not trying
you're
to take.
taking, listen, when you cite something, you are taking it on as an argument. But
That's right. It's yours.
No, what I'm trying to do, Neil, is to point that if you go to celestial navigation, then you can cite celestial navigation requiring a perpendicular, a 90, and that cannot work on their globe model. So finding that out and having the panel really do research on their own. I mean, Brian and Adam and everyone who's done videos and talked about it, especially Brian, because he's taken this thing and run with it. And Mitchell from Australia, it's really a killer for them because they can't say it's FED and Nathan and crew because they're not citing us. We're citing their sources.
And man, you brought it to our attention. You did the homework on it. You get the credit. Yes, it's celestial navigation. We know, but
what's my
take the credit.
I give the credit. I mean,
the street promotion team. I took it to the ballers personally.
We just heard some high pitched squeaking from you, I'm afraid, Eli.
No, I was just saying I was the street team. I took it to the ballers first.
Well, Elijah is, as far as the
Elijah's
trench
ace.
work goes, yeah, Elijah spends more time in the trenches than any human ever should. And I worry for his mental health being around those people.
Agreed.
Well,
Did
I'll
Elijah
tell-
just state that he's walking the streets?
He's not a gigolo. He's talking about going out in the trenches of flat Earth and anti-flat Earth, as opposed to being a male prostitute.
No, Elijah rides a bike and delivers packages. What are you talking
Yeah, that's what we call it around here too.
It's very
My
simple.
reference was more. My reference was more like an undercover cop walking the streets.
Oh, I don't
Well,
think in those terms, but I'm
Let's
not a
get back
criminal.
on topic before we lose it here. it was Brian who took the only thing I ever claimed was, hey, I'm looking at their books and sextant's an angle measuring device, and an angle is two straight lines meeting at a vertex. That's the only thing I ever claimed. Then Brian jumps on it and says, oh, look, if they do it, it has to be a chord. Oh, look, if they do it, it has to be divergent zeniths. Well, that can't work. I mean, subtracting from 90, they hated that. So the whole team has contributed.
Dean, sextant, work in the street. It all sounds very seedy.
But even with a chord, it wouldn't work because the
Nathan,
angle
what
would have
angle?
more than 90 degrees.
Nathan, what angle are you trying to get here?
You work all those angles, sister.
That would be curves.
That would be corners, working corners.
Should we
With
take
their curves.
an abrupt change? Right. Any evidence
Oh,
of a...
do you know what someone did before we move on?
Before we do housekeeping, do you know what somebody did? Let's talk about people for a bit. Why not? How very lowbrow.
It has to do with the triangle, right? So this guy goes into micro. First of all, okay, so he said, so you can't have a horizontal, you can't have an elevation angle without a curved adjacent. I said, no, you can't. He said, he posted a picture in the chat, and it was of an angle. And he says, is this an angle? And I said, yeah. And then he posts a Microsoft like paint in a grid like this curve. And it's actually that line that he zoomed into.
Ah, so the answer to that is, so it wasn't an angle after all.
No, it was. Because I said, fam, you have it in individual line segments between each box. It's still an angle if you were to close that there at the bottom of the box. And second of all, if you're saying that whatever distance that radius line would be, that adjacent line would be, you're saying that all of that's a flat segment of this curved earth. That's insane.
Eli, what number do they have to subtract their angle from?
90.
Eli, boy, you didn't sound like Eli.
Sorry, I got excited.
90.
It's over right there.
Right.
Well,
Yeah,
show him,
even with the chord.
that, just show him Rob Durham and his the shorts video that QE has of Rob Durham, showing
Yes.
how it doesn't work with a curved line in CAD, and CAD is used by engineers who build massive things everywhere.
That was what I was going to go to next, Brian, in response to, well, okay, I did speak too soon, to be fair, Eli. If you zoom in on one box, if it's a segmented line drawing that makes up lots and lots and lots of lines to make an appearance of a curve when you zoom out, the point where two of those lines meet, if you add another one to it, will give you an actual angle. You've got two straight lines meeting. I think that was Eli's point. It's like, yeah, well, you've still got an angle in that tiny little section that you've drawn out, but only for that one tiny little section where there's one straight line. Well, if you're going to assert that, well, because there's lots of other straight lines that aren't meeting this straight line for my angle at a vertex, therefore curved lines can form to make angles, it's like, no, that's very much faulty logic. But further to that, if they did say that, which they often do, you just go to Rob Durham's video and say, well, look, this is a CAD program that just basically tells you when you try and get an angle from a curve that you can't get angles from curves.
Well, technically they can't get a right angle anyway, because even if they do make a tangent to their surface of the sphere, because they can't find horizontal, because no part of that sphere is horizontal.
Right, which
no
is
matter
why
where you put your tangent plane, there is no horizontal. It's just a straight line.
exactly
There's
that's why
no,
Arwen's getting in a huff, because that's currently that's the only ball of get out, and it's completely negated by the fact that the two are intertwined, horizontal and vertical.
But there's no vertical either, because you have with a sphere, or you have an inside and an outside, because it goes so all verticals will go to the center. That means no vertical can be 90, because no other vertical cannot be 90 then, if you understand what I mean.
Yes, I
So you
understand.
can't have, yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, but the horizontal cannot be a chord because otherwise, if you cut through the sphere, you're going to have more than 90 degrees. You cannot have more. You
No,
need to
I
have
wasn't
90
talking
degrees
about
or
a chord,
less.
I was talking about a tangent. I said a tangent.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Jorge's saying neither can it be a chord if they try and use that tact.
Oh, no, sorry. Yeah,
Correct.
Let's ask the question. Any evidence that you can acquire an elevation angle measurement? Because that's what this is really all about. It's about navigation and the acquisition of elevation angles when you're out navigating and trying to find where you are and put yourself on a map. And then triangulation being the acquisition of these elevation angles. Is there any evidence that those elevation angles used in navigation can be acquired from a curved baseline?
Evidently, you haven't been paying
Negative.
attention for the last hour.
Now, without the horizontal plane, you cannot do elevation angles.
Earth must be flat. Earth
No.
is flat. It is required to be to navigate.
Yeah, definitely. Can't prove that, but like you just said, and this is what they're saying, they don't need a curved baseline because they're not using a curved baseline. They're using a invisible imaginary tangent line. This is what they're saying now. They don't actually use the curved Earth. That's irrelevant.
We covered that in the first housekeeping question, though. So tangent to what? Oh, well, it would be the physical leading edge of the sphere, formerly known as Earth curve. That's their tangent. Well, since 2020, 1st Jan, they've been telling us how they don't have that tangent. It's bent. Hey, Roofy, he became a member. Yeah, how about that tangent? Tangent? What do you mean? Straight line to a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curve? Oh, you don't have that anymore. Never to be seen, ever. They don't have a tangent. So no.
Brian,
Nathan, I posted a picture in Master D, if you can go to it, on topic.
Yes, Neil?
Brian, what was that thing you said before you put that on? What was that thing you said yesterday that they've been telling you they know for 200 years that the horizon?
There's a comment from a baller claiming that they've known for 200 years that the horizon is not a stationary location that you can travel to or something like that. There's some rubbish.
Well, yeah, but it's claimed to be a physical geometric sphere edge blocking the view, calculable in the Earth curve maths, where it's labelled as a geometric obstruction with the word horizon, marking an X where there's a geometric tangent point. We debunked in 2020. Meanwhile, got your celestial body sextant angles picture.
Can I just say, just before, because I was trying to get in to say this, just about the tangent. As soon as they mention tangent plane, that is an admission that they can't do this process on using their curved surface. Immediately, it's over. It's an admission that they can't do this process on a curved surface.
Brian,
that's the end of that.
How many planes would you find on a curved surface?
None.
None.
0.
That's weird then.
Over to you, 10th.
So the people that believe that...
This is directly linked to that.
Sorry.
Go ahead, 10th.
Yeah, so as Brian said, and as Chocolate's commenting on, this picture that you're looking at is from a navigation site that believes the Earth is a globe. And look at what they put up as the essential parts of an angle. Now, face value, when I first posted this many moons ago, Nathan said, "Oh, this is funny. Did you make it?" I said, "No. This is from a serious navigation site that believes the Earth is a globe, and they are showing you in the pictorial how celestial navigation works." Now, where in the world can you get that adjacent, that baseline, on the dingleberry that's underneath it? There's only one place. Anyone want to guess?
Center of the Earth.
The equatorial plane, which is the real surface of the Earth.
Yeah. The only way you can do it is by doing it from the equatorial plane, and we're not standing at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth with a flat plane to actually measure the angles from, and then a globe Earth with a molten iron core all around you. It's absolutely absurd. What it matches with, and is derived from, is the celestial sphere model, which is a flat plane with the dome of the heavens over you. Shout out to Godzilla37, who says, bear with me just one sec. Frayed Arwin is right. A plumb bob will find vertical without a horizontal, though it will necessitate one. A measured one is not needed, in my opinion. It will necessitate one. A measured one is not needed. What? That's a contradiction in terms. Thank you for the super
he's
chat.
taking it off the subject, but what he's saying is when you hang a plumb bob, it's going to do 90 for you. But to have 90, you got to have a reference. It automatically gives you the other.
Okay, any more to add on this? Because I'm going to do a little public service.
Yeah, well, yeah, just the equatorial plane. See, the trick is, and you could establish it by saying, where do the angle measurements in the nautical almanac originate from? The curved surface or an equatorial plane where you do have a baseline? Well, to their own admission, it's the equatorial plane that has a baseline, the disk. That equator line, that disk, is a flat disk. That's where the angle's coming from, not the curved surface. And that's from their own book. So, yeah, the Black Swan to destroy the globe and celestial navigation to prove flat Earth. It's a beautiful combination.
Cool. We're not going to be able to rattle our way through all of the housekeeping questions today, but that's fine because hopefully everything's back on track now after a month of chaos. And that means that all we need is the people who are in the live stream, which admittedly has had the live stream numbers dwindling over the last month through various different reasons, to actually share the show. So we're in a new Gilded server, which we've been in for, I don't know, 6 weeks or so, maybe a little bit longer. And the server is doing its job now. The sound is good, the link works, it's actually published with the video, so you can actually join the show. All we need is some passing trade, which means that it's down to the people, the good people who actually watch on a regular basis, and indeed you, if you're new here, or if you're a cursory watcher, to actually smash the share button, because that will, as I say in every single introduction, increase the diversity of the panel, and the panel in this instance is the Gilded server. So, yeah, we can make all the excuses in the world about it being new, but ultimately speaking, the only way that it'll stop being new is if it gets a bit worn, and the way it gets worn is by being shared, and the way we publicise our Gilded server is by obviously pointing people towards the show, and then if they want to contradict anything that's being discussed in terms of the Earth's requirement to be flat and the acquisition of elevation angles in this instance, they can just join the show by clicking the link underneath. But that means we've got to have people actually come into the live show to do so. So please share the show. Obviously, a massive thank you to all of you who've smashed the share button and regularly do so. I appreciate there's lots of you in the audience that do regularly share the show pretty much every time you come, which is fantastic. But the extra push is going to be needed because the extra focus is going to be here, and we just need some fundies to annihilate with their assumptions and declarations about the nature of our Earth, which we know to be obviously, observably, navigatably flat. So there you go, public service announcement number 1. Please share the show. Thanks if you have done so already.
I'd just like to say, Tent, that they're not getting their angle measurements from the centre of the globe. They're getting them from the surface of Earth. It just happens to not be curved. And then they're pre-assuming it's a globe and bringing those angles to the centre of a pre-assumed mathematical circle.
Well, we're saying the same thing.
Yeah,
I'm saying, no, we're saying the same thing. Obviously, they're getting it from the flat surface that the Earth is, and then they are repositioning it for their globe model to the center. But it's all happening from the surface. There is no equatorial plane in their model because their model doesn't exist. We just live on an irregular plane.
But Brian did cover that a second ago in terms of, while they can claim that it goes to the centre of... Well, I'd be reiterating Brian's point. Brian, you made this point earlier. Do you want to reiterate that?
Yeah, they can make the claim that the angle has been brought to the centre of a circle with a radius of 3,959 miles, but their angle measurement, the measurement is happening with a marine sextant using the surface of the water underneath the boat, starting there, using the horizontal baseline of the Earth. They're not making a measurement off of a curved surface, so they're making a measurement in reality using the using the Earth basically. Or it just happens that the Earth is not curved, it's not a globe. But then they can start pre-assuming it is and bringing their angles to the center of a globe using another horizontal but that the measurement originates at the surface of the Earth. The Earth just happens to not be curved.
Why do they draw a tangent plane, Brian?
Well, they
That's
have
the plane
to
bit.
assume a tangent plane because they need that they need the tangent plane and a tangent plane of infinite size, if necessary, to make the measurement.
Right. So it is the surface of the Earth where the sextant is working from, which is the irregular plane. They had hoodwinked people with elevation back engineered angles to Polaris to call that their equator, and they've repositioned it. They've transformed it over there to make you think it's from the center, but we all know no one's at the center with a sextant. The measurement from the sextant is from the surface, and if the surface is curved, the sextant is useless. It can't work.
Well, it's an antecedent relationship. Or maybe I hope I'm right in saying it this time, but you can't have the angle that you're placing at the center of the mathematical globe without having measured it originally off a horizontal plane at the surface of Earth. So
but the equatorial
you can't
plane
have an angle measurement from the center if you don't measure it from the surface first.
But equatorial plane means the observer at the center, underneath the Polaris, with a straight line to the equator. You're 90 degrees, so that's what it makes the celestial sphere, a plane.
Yeah, I understand that, but the point I'm making is that they can't even put an angle at the center of their globe until they've already measured it off a horizontal plane on the surface.
Yeah,
so they must,
agreed.
That's an antecedent. They can't, when they want to start. See, this is the thing about our opposition, and even people who are just hoodwinked. They always want to go to delta x. They never want to deal with x. So delta x is the angle from the center of the globe. X is the actual measurement that is taken using the horizontal surface, the horizontal plane of the Earth at the surface. Because you can't have one without you can't have B without A.
We're saying the same thing, Brian. There is no center of the Earth measurement. None of that exists. It's all from the surface. What I'm saying is from the opposite view. Then they reify it to a center of an equatorial plane, but there is no such thing.
Yeah, but my point, we are saying the same thing. My point is a little bit more subtle. Their claim, right, only happens after it's measured off of a massive horizontal in reality.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is,
the antecedent. Just 1 second. The antecedent for their claim is a real world measurement off of the horizontal baseline of Earth. That's my point. Okay, go on.
Okay, what I'm saying is their claim doesn't even happen. It's always happening from the surface, which is flat. Their claim doesn't exist.
Let me summarize. Yeah. Let me summarize both your points. So Brian's saying, in order to first have a claim to be making, they need and necessitate a measurement from a flat plane. Now, they might call that the tangent plane. Now, what is further to that is that they've got to then move that tangent plane to the centre of Earth to make the angles work. And that's nonsense. That's your point, right? 10th. That isn't being done. We're not moving anything to the centre of any sphere Earth when we take a measurement. But Brian's point is that ultimately they're always conceding that they have to take a measurement from Earth's horizontal plane whenever they do anything.
What I'm saying is I understand you both.
Yeah, correct. There's two ways of expressing it, but we're both saying the same thing. Obviously, I agree 100% with Brian, and I know he agrees with me. There's just two ways of expressing it. That's all.
Yeah, no, my only, I'm not going against that you tend to saying or like that. It's obviously I wouldn't be able to do that. The point is that the antecedent for their claim is a real world measurement using a real world horizontal plane, not a tangent plane, not a curved surface, a real world horizontal, which is the horizontal baseline of the Earth we live on. So their claim can't even exist without the real world flat plane.
With that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you. Smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on an after show. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!